has a wet zone and a dry zone. This footage is making me sweat.
Ya Allah. Waduh. Kak. Tolong nih. Aduh, enggak gerimisan, Kak. Ya Allah, kamu maju nama. Allah.
Someone made a bet.
Here's opening day. On November 7th, the bridge suddenly went into a twisting motion. The wind speed was a steady 42 miles per hour. This was enough to keep the bridge oscillating in one of its natural modes of vibration with a period of 5 seconds. A professor of engineering went out to see what had happened. He's coming back, walking with some difficulty along the nodal line, which is the center stripe of the roadway. It's remarkable that the girders were this flexible. This is photographed at normal speed. However, a collapse was inevitable after a little more than an hour of this. The car had been abandoned earlier. No one was injured in the whole affair. However, a small dog in the car was frightened and was afraid to come out, and he perished along with the bridge.
Ponte Morandi was a road in the city of Genoa, Italy, and was constructed between 1963 and 1967. One specific length of the road went over the river Polcevera, and the bridge became known as Ponte Morandi. It was an engineering and architectural landmark that garnered the attention and admiration of the people living in the surrounding areas. It eventually became one of the most traveled and widely used roadways in the country. On August 14, 2018, a huge rainstorm hit the city. Everything from flash floods to landslides were happening in the surrounding areas. On that day, though, the bridge was being put under an incredible amount of stress. Finally, a section of bridge measuring 690 feet across broke off from the rest of the structure and collapsed into the river below. As there were many people on the bridge at the time, 43 people died. Also, because of the importance of this road to the region, a state of emergency was declared that lasted an entire year. At first, experts were having trouble pinpointing exactly what could have caused this random disaster. Some people believed that it was simply due to a lack of maintenance, upkeep, and repair in the years it was operational. Others believe that the massive amount of rainfall ended up forming huge pools, causing an excessive amount of weight to be distributed to various places around the bridge. So, which was it? Well, it was actually both.
Let's think about this with a simple analogy. Here we have two situations, a ball placed on top of a hill and a ball placed in a valley. If we push the ball on top of the hill, even a tiny bit, it will begin to accelerate down the hill and will not stop until we put energy in to slow it down. And we will need to put even more energy in to return it to the top of the hill. This is an unstable system. The opposite is true for the ball in the valley. Apply a force and the ball will roll uphill, and gravity will now provide a restoring force to bring it back. It may oscillate back and forth a few times before coming to a stop, but it will eventually return to its original position. This is a stable system. So how does this apply to planes? Forces acting upon the X-29 in the longitudinal plane. The center of gravity and the center of lift have shifted backwards as a result of the forward-swept design, and thus, in order to stabilize the plane, the canards need to produce lift ahead of the center of gravity. This is fine in level flight with no disturbances, but what happens if we pitch upwards? Here there is no downwash that shifts to increase downforce on the stabilizer. The angle of attack on the canards also increases with increased pitch, which increases the lift forward of the center of gravity, which pitches the nose up even more. And thus, for a very small energy input, we could pitch the plane a tremendous amount, just like giving that ball on the hill a little nudge. This is great when you want to pitch the plane wildly, but that's not always the case. To achieve level flight, the X-29's control computers had to be constantly adjusting to compensate for little disturbances, up to 40 times a second. This isn't a huge deal, especially with today's computers.